Nestled in the heart of the New England countryside, the town of Evervale was a haven of tranquility. The picturesque landscapes and friendly faces concealed a darker truth, one that the Morrison family would soon uncover. The Morrisons, a family of 4, decided to escape the hustle and bustle of city life and embrace the simplicity of rural living. They purchased an old Victorian house on the outskirts of Evervale, surrounded by ancient oaks and a thick forest that seemed to stretch endlessly. The house, named Ravenscroft Manor, exuded an eerie charm that only became apparent after sunset. From the moment they moved in, peculiar things began to unfold. At first, it was subtle, the creaking of floorboards in empty rooms, faint whispers that lingered in the air. Emily Morrison, the teenage daughter with a penchant for the supernatural, dismissed these occurrences as mere figments of her imagination. Her parents, Mark and Sarah, attributed the strange sounds to the house settling. However, as weeks passed, the inexplicable happenings escalated. Objects moved on their own accord, and shadows danced in corners where there was no light. Emily claimed to have seen a spectral figure in an old-fashioned dress, its eyes hollow pools of darkness. The whispers that once seemed like distant echoes now grew clearer, forming cryptic messages that echoed through the halls of Ravenscroft Manor. One night, as a storm raged outside, the family gathered in the living room. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and the air became thick with an otherworldly presence. The whispers coalesced into a chilling voice that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the house. "Leave this place," it murmured, each syllable dripping with a spectral coldness. The Morrisons exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of the message settling in their bones. Mark, a pragmatic man of science, dismissed it as a trick of the mind, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something darker lurked within the confines of Ravenscroft Manor. As the nights wore on, sleep became elusive. Each family member experienced vivid nightmares that blurred the line between dreams and reality. They would wake up to find cryptic symbols etched on the walls, seemingly drawn by an unseen hand. Desperation set in as the family grappled with the realization that their new home was harboring something malevolent. Emily, driven by an insatiable curiosity, delved into the history of Ravenscroft Manor. She discovered that the house had a sordid past, with a string of inexplicable deaths and mysterious disappearances associated with its name. One name stood out: Eleanor Blackwood, a woman accused of witchcraft in the late 19th century. Legend had it that Eleanor's spirit lingered within the walls of Ravenscroft Manor, seeking vengeance for the injustices done to her. The Morrisons, unknowingly, had become the latest inhabitants to bear witness to her spectral wrath. Determined to put an end to the haunting, the family sought the help of a local historian well-versed in paranormal investigations. Together, they performed a séance in the dimly lit living room, attempting to communicate with the restless spirit. The atmosphere grew tense as the planchette on the Ouija board moved with a will of its own, spelling out a message: "Release me." In that moment, a bone-chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. The family huddled together, their breaths visible in the cold air. The historian, panic evident in his eyes, urged them to leave the house immediately. As the Morrisons fled Ravenscroft Manor, a guttural scream echoed behind them, and the once beautiful Victorian house seemed to moan in agony. They watched in horror as the windows rattled and the very foundation of the house trembled. The historian muttered ancient incantations in an attempt to contain the unleashed energy. As they reached the safety of the outside, a blinding light enveloped Ravenscroft Manor. When the light faded, the house stood in eerie silence, as if the supernatural tempest had never occurred. The historian, exhausted, explained that they had appeased the spirit by acknowledging the injustice done to Eleanor Blackwood. The Morrisons, shaken to their core, never spoke of the ordeal again. Ravenscroft Manor, now a symbol of both beauty and horror, stood as a silent sentinel in the New England countryside. The whispers in the shadows had been silenced, but the echoes of that fateful night lingered, a haunting reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed.